station in the United States is a communication to the children to take a trip, to cop out, to groove. The psychedelic jackets on the record albums have their own hidden symbols and messages, as well as all the lyrics of all the pop rock songs. And they all sing the same refrain. It's fun.
This is a special request. We don't want you to smoke genetically modified ganja. We want you to smoke the real thing. We want you to smoke the natural herb. Some call it marijuana, some call it sensimedia, some call it lamb's bread, and some people call it ganja.
Welcome to the Adam Dunn Show. Adam Dunn is out today. I'm your co-host, Mitch Shanasa, and with me, as always, are Murphy Murray and Ryan Hedrick.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
So Adam is usually here BSing with me and talking about the week, but he is on his way to the National Cannabis Industry Association Conference in Chicago. So if you guys are out there in Chicagoland or Midwest or going there for the conference, definitely holler at Adam. He's there doing the Med-Canna thing.
The guys at Med-Canna over there,
yeah. So we got a cool show today. I think Ryan has a really cool announcement for a giveaway.
Yeah, we'll have a cool little some ticket giveaways a little bit later on in the show. We have 2 tickets to Stick Figure Dub's show in Denver. So we have some 2 general admissions. You and a friend or a loved one can go and check out a good reggae show. So
yeah, that's pretty sweet.
And I'll be there.
Yeah. Link up with Ryan. And you said it's like a sort of an intimate venue?
Yeah, it's a real intimate venue. They're not playing at like the Fillmore or the Ogden. It's like a dope little like bar setting. So you'll just get to go out, drink some beers, and it'll be fun. It'll be a good time.
Nice. That's sweet. And let's see. So today's show, following up on the long quest for OG Kush, I guess what we had put together before, right? We figured out that Bubba, Matt, did pop a bag seed in Florida, went out to Cali, decided to go back and pick it up, brought it. He and his boy Josh had it, and that's kind of what we got on the last show. So after the last OG show, I got contacted by Oregon Kid, who's known as the dude who put out OG Kush on the internet, and
he put it out on the internet, like an online grow?
He was the first dude to post pictures of it online, have clones of it online, things like that.
I was joking. Put weed out on the internet. It was a joke, but
I mean, at the time, that was putting weed out on the internet.
Yeah, and also pictures of him selling it for crazy amounts of money was really what convinced a lot of people. But so Oregon Kid contacted the show, and he was like, I was listening to your show, and I got chills when I heard that guy Josh, because that was the guy I got the cut from. So it's like, okay, we found
just by the voice. He was like, I remember that voice.
That was my dude.
The same guy.
Yeah. So given that, that means that okay, we can verify. Let's go to Oregon Kid and see what he has to say. And we know that Oregon Kid gave what's called the Ghost OG to Ghost. That's like the known fact. Sold it to Ghost. Definitely didn't give it to him. Ghost had been in contact with us. I tried emailing him. I was going to try to get him on, but I mean, I think Oregon Kid can tell us enough about exactly what he did give Ghost.
And Oregon Kid is from...
Well, we'll find out.
Oregon.
He's from... Well, I mean, he's out in California right now by his area code. So it's evolving. The OG story is coming to bear. And also, let's take 1 second to acknowledge the fine folks at Guayaki who finally hooked it up, dude. We've been asking for like mad episodes, and we got 2 cases of yerba mate.
And my favorite flavor, Revel Berry.
Not mine, but I think they were probably just out of stock.
That's okay. So they sent the best one. Thanks, Guayaki.
It's my first ever. So.
Yeah. Murphy's first Guayaki.
Yeah.
Chris, I'll bring next time. I didn't realize you were a yerba mate guy. You said that just before. Now I know. I will do it.
Good stuff.
So definitely shouts to them. And then we've been talking to a lot of other cool brands recently, and we're going to have some cool stuff coming forward, and hopefully a lot of giveaways available specifically through a lot of really cool brand partnerships.
And we still I have to get you that email list of all those, the CBD and the THC tests that we have to give away.
If you guys didn't get your CBD or THC test, that's on Ryan, and he's
you didn't get
sure
it. You're not going to get it for probably a couple of weeks because we got to send it the
processing
and processing and all that. But it's there. They haven't been forgotten about. They exist, so we're fine.
Sure,
it's guaranteed.
All right, well,
bye, Ryan.
It's kind of weird without Adam, guys. I got to say, like, I never realized. I have no container. I feel like just water without a container, without Adam, like making the show happen. But I guess it's news time.
That's what our timer says.
Yup. Okay, so this is pretty cool. Funny. It reminds me of an episode of Archer, so I had to print it. Cocaine and cannabis haul hidden in Vatican car seized by French police. From The Independent. 2 men are being detained by French police after 4 kilos of cocaine and cannabis. I wonder, 4 kilos each? I don't know.
Yeah.
Were discovered hidden inside an official Vatican car with diplomatic number plates.
That's pretty dope.
French radio network RTL said the vehicle, which belonged to Argentinian Cardinal Jorge Mejia, had gone to be serviced a few days before it was stopped. The retired 91-year-old librarian emeritus is currently bedridden following a heart attack, so he probably wasn't doing the smugglings.
Right.
But 2 Italian men aged 30 and 41 are believed to have picked up the car and driven it to Spain, where they allegedly collected 4 kilos of cocaine and between 150 and 200 grams of cannabis. That sounds like a head stash.
That's
Yeah.
that's like a personal amount. He went and
That's
made it
just
a little
a long
expensive
drive.
personal run.
yeah.
For
yeah,
nothing.
that's
I
a head
might-
stash for a
I
drive.
might enjoy
150
some
to
grams of
200
cannabis
grams.
on
Yeah.
the coast of Spain, perhaps.
Sure.
So
yeah.
they drove back to Spain, and they thought the diplomatic plates, as I would have also thought. So learning lesson: diplomatic immunity. You don't get searched at the
Sure.
border. No, you get searched at the border. They got busted. So that's what I got.
Even the Vatican
Gets
coming
scrutinized. All right, Murphy, you have some
can't
real
get away
news?
with it. Yeah. Well, there's a lot of news, but I think I'm gonna follow your lead. Go on the topic of crazy busts going on. Not so much the Vatican on this one. Honestly, someone who, in my opinion, a lot of times these stories I feel like is maybe a little more innocent.
Possibly even a listener of our show. That's
Possibly
when I
a
see these
listener of
news
our
things,
show.
right?
And these are the stories that kind of make me upset that we're not further along than we are. So basically, we've got a Humboldt County Sheriff's Office press release on 9/15/2014 at about 0900 hours. The Humboldt County Sheriff's Office Drug Enforcement Unit served a Humboldt County Superior Court search warrant on a parcel of land on Samet Creek Road. This is a remote area in Humboldt County. At that location, deputies located 5 large greenhouses with growing marijuana. The 2 larger commercial-sized greenhouses measured 200 feet in length by 50 feet wide, and all 5 greenhouses contained growing marijuana that later totaled only 3,500 plants.
Only 3,500.
Only
plants.
3,500 plants.
That is a commercial size.
That's a nice haul.
That's a pretty good sized garden in farm country, frankly. And unfortunately, the owner of the property, who was arrested for cultivation, is a 61-year-old male. He'd been living on the property in a travel trailer, and he had $37,000 in cash seized. They also
getting it.
they also found 283 pounds
Packed up, ready to go.
of processed marijuana buds packaged in 1 pound oven bags. They outed his oven
So
bags.
they're vac sealed, ready to be
not
sent
vac sealed.
out.
no,
Oven
oven
bags,
bags
oven
are the turkey ones,
So
the
the big
silly
turkey
ones.
bags that
Yeah,
you're popping open, but so they weren't
you only use oven bags when you don't care.
right
'cause-
when it's going black.
That's
on
export
it. Yeah.
grade.
Yeah, it doesn't dry out, I guess.
So, all right, you want to talk about outrageous busts? I can even trump you on that.
Oh my goodness.
Marijuana smell
Race.
on Michigan kindergartner leads cops to dad's homegrown pot. This is from Freep.com. An
Dad.
Upper Peninsula man is asking a judge to suppress evidence of more than 200 marijuana plants,
Where the hell is the Upper
which were seized
Peninsula?
after his daughter told her kindergarten teacher about homegrown pot. Wait, told her? Let's
Told
find out
her?
more. Federal Magistrate Judge Timothy Greeley says there was probable cause to search Randall Feek's home last January, but Feek's lawyer is asking another federal judge to overrule that report and quash the search warrant. Kingsford police went to Feek's home January 29th, 5 days after Woodland Elementary School principal Darren Petcher told police that Feek's daughter came to school, quote, with a strong odor of marijuana on her clothing, end quote. Kingsford Police Sergeant Joseph Mangini said in an affidavit. Mangini said the 6-year-old told her teacher that her father was growing marijuana in the basement of their residence and that she was not supposed to tell anyone. And why this is really scary to me is Michigan's a medical state.
Yeah.
And if you have a medical grow in your home, you shouldn't tell anyone for security reasons, not just because
Sure.
it's a dirty secret. And I don't know. That really kind of bugs me.
Yeah, it's, and unfortunately, Michigan, like a lot of other states too, you face, actual child protection kind
yeah.
of
They'll take your
issues
kids
when
away
you
from you for that stuff.
when you have a legal medical cannabis garden.
Yeah, especially
And
kindergartner. I mean, that's prime mind shaping
Right.
age. You know what I mean? They don't want any bad stuff around your kids.
Well,
at
and,
that
and more
point.
than that, just the fact that kindergartner had that conversation because the odor on her clothes, like that's exactly the kind of thing that the Child Protective Services are trying to
Right,
avoid is,
right.
having that child grow up in.
All right, what about
confusing
good news?
environment.
Do we have any good news?
So we have some very good news outside of that. People getting in trouble, but progress being made elsewhere. So props to the females supporting the cannabis movement. We've got Liz Kruger, the state senator in New York,
Not
Democrat.
related to Freddie by any.
Not,
by any
No
not
relation to
related.
Freddie.
No
to
relation
Freddie Krueger.
to Freddie, but
She she is getting after it though. She is introducing the Marijuana Regulation and Taxation Act in the next legislative session, which begins in January. So if you're in New York, if you know people in New York, if you've seen things about New York, tell everyone you know to contact everyone they know to support this bill. This bill would tax all marijuana sales and limit legal possession to 2 ounces. And that's for recreational sales
It's
in
just
New
like
York.
here, pretty much.
It's just like
even
here,
more.
but
You can
one
have
more ounce.
Yeah, you can have less here.
And the
actually.
crazy thing, like that article is in the Metro, so we actually got that from a listener who saw that in the Metro's like their daily thing that they give you
Yeah.
as you're walking into
Yeah.
the subway. So he saw that on his subway ride this morning, and he told us about that article. So we definitely have New York listeners, and we expect, not only do we hope, but we fully expect that you guys are directly contacting Representative Senator Kruger and asking what you can do to support this. So that's good news. And then for folks in Australia,
I have some buddies in right now from Australia.
well, I don't know if New South Wales and Victoria are like provinces of Australia.
So New South Wales is what we would consider a state.
Okay.
So New South Wales is like a state of Australia, essentially. You know what I mean?
So Tony Abbott, who's the Prime Minister of Australia, has backed the use of cannabis for medical purposes, saying, quote, there should be no question of its illegality.
Yep.
Prime Minister expressed his view in an email to the Talkback host Alan Jones, who had publicized a petition signed by 196,000 people calling on the New South Wales Parliament to allow cannabis use by the terminally ill and chronic pain sufferers. He says, I was under the impression that personal use of cannabis... so in a letter by Jones to his listeners on Wednesday, Abbott said, I have no problem with the medical use of cannabis, just as I have no problem with the medical use of opiates. I was under the impression that personal use of cannabis was no longer an offense in New South Wales. If a drug is needed for a valid medicinal purpose, though, and is being administered safely, there should be no question of its legality. And if a drug that is proven to be safe abroad is needed here, it should be available. I agree that the regulation of medicines is a thicket of complexity, bureaucracy, and corporate and institutional self-interest. My basic contention is that something that's been found to be safe in a reliable jurisdiction shouldn't need to be tested again here. I think that's a pretty awesome statement by a politician.
Yeah, I mean, and it's cool there because I shouldn't say it's cool because they're working almost the same as we're working. So my buddies live in Perth, which is way up north from that area. So North Wales, they were saying you can have up to 2 plants. Like you're allowed to grow 2 plants and you can possess marijuana. But then if you're in Perth, they say it's dirt weed, and if you get caught with it, you're fucked.
And how
So,
far away is like a drive from
I
New
think,
South Wales?
I mean, they're pretty far. Like to go from Perth to Sydney would take hours, you know. So I mean, they're far. It's like
So
going
it's a lot
from
like
state to
America.
state. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's much more different here. If you got caught in Pennsylvania, you'd get a slap on the wrist. If you got caught in Perth, you're going to jail.
Yeah, but if you got caught in Texas, you're going to jail.
Yeah, sure.
And
You
it's
You
dirt
might,
weed,
you might be
know.
sentenced to death in
Yeah,
Texas.
that's
Honestly,
nuts.
that's still happening in America. But, I think for people to, on an international level, just start acknowledging that we're researching it inspires more people to start researching it, inspires more people to get involved because, his final quote there is, why should we test it?
Well,
if
and-
it's been tested, imagine if every other country needed to make sure the polio vaccine worked before they were willing to hand it out,
And,
before
I
they
mean,
were willing to save lives.
Even more, it's Australia. They're a Commonwealth nation.
Mm-hmm.
Like them and Canada are like the laboratories of the UK. The UK is influential in the EU. Like, there's a series of changes that have to happen before this becomes worldwide, and this is definitely the first step would
one
look
big
like.
step towards that. for sure.
Absolutely.
So, moving on, I believe we have Oregon Kid himself on the line.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, what's going on, man? That's I believe you've been one of the most requested guests we've had on the show since we started talking about the OG thing. So I definitely want to thank you for getting in touch with us and reaching out, man.
Oh, no problem.
So first of all, I want to start with like what I said to the listeners before. Like you reached out to me when you heard Josh's voice on the show when we were doing the previous episodes. Can you tell us how that links in with you in your own words?
Yeah, Josh's crew is where the OG came from, as far as I know, from living out here. The whole time I've been out here, as in looking for it, I searched buying seeds on all the different sites, and none of it was it. And I had a bunch of different friends out here, and I ended up linking up with one of his friends and got to them, and ended up buying an OG clone from them.
And then once you got that clone, and this was before my time really, at least on the forums, you were kind of the first dude to really be putting it out there that was talking with other growers online. Is that roughly accurate?
Yeah, well, what had happened kind of is I was charged quite a bit for it and stuff. And I'm kind of more, I feel everybody should be able to get strains and have it and enjoy it. So I kind of wanted to put it out there, and I sold it at a lower price, trying to make some of my money back, and then had seeds made through friends that I made pollen with, and I had them made seeds, and I started selling seeds online.
So but you also put out the clone to Ghost that became Ghost OG.
Yes.
And that's been a question that people had. Was that just a cut of the OG, or was that an S1 or a different pheno?
It was an actual cut that I rooted, and then I mailed cuts to Ghost, to some kid in Africa, another kid in Australia, and someone in Denmark.
That's interesting that it went out all over the place. So when you so the cut that Ghost got was the same cut you got from Josh, yeah?
Yes.
So Ghost OG
Is the same as that.
As Oger, as OG, and as probably one of the Soul Assassin cuts from what we're understanding.
So an Ogre and a Ghost OG are essentially the same cut.
At least at some point they were, yeah?
Yeah.
So from what you understand, and you were there for how this developed, because it was a phenomenon. When you put OG out, people went nuts for it, right?
Yeah. See, what had happened in the beginning is I got Bubba from a friend, and I was doing Bubba, and I started selling it at $450 years old. And Josh's crew, through my friends, heard too, and they moved theirs up to $500 because it was better in their opinion. And I had started getting some from them, and then I wanted to get their cut. So playing the game, working through friend after friend after friend, it took a while, but I got them to sell me the cut.
And then once you got that cut, people were impressed. I mean, obviously in real life, and not just online, but like in sort of the higher circles out there in Cali, yeah?
Yeah, it's selling out here for, $8,000 to $10,000 a pound, depending on who's buying it, by the zone. So
10,000.
a lot of people are very impressed. 500 to 600 an ounce.
And that was what it was
I'm
like,
impressed.
really, when you were dealing with it. And I think that's why it blew up. People saw that online and really, in recognition of that commercial potential, were like, I want
I think
that
I can
cut.
easily say that's probably the most I've ever heard of any kind of cannabis going for. $10,000
I've
a
heard,
pound.
just not from as credible of a source.
I mean, everyone's
before.
heard it from OG, dude, and
Yeah.
everyone's read it in the Canna Bible that the cut sold for 10K itself, which if you make it back off of the first P.
I paid $5K and gave them 5 pounds.
So 5K plus 5 pounds is what you paid.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's not cheap.
cheap, but I mean, yeah.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
Yeah.
the investment.
Yeah, for
honestly.
sure. Yeah, I had some ogre grown in the room, so hey.
Pretty
So
charitable
wait, so
cause.
let's straighten that out too, because that's kind of where this controversy came. So okay, so the OG Kush, excuse me, is Oger, and
Yes.
that is definitely Ghost OG.
Yes, 100%.
And my understanding is that Josh also gave it to Kenji from Be Real's crew and they're
Yeah,
the ones.
Icky and Blake, I know them. So I
Okay.
both of them.
And they also call that's the Soul Assassin cut, I assume, yeah? Or is that the Brain OG that I also heard came from that whole crew?
It's really hard with them. They had several different cuts, and they named them different names. And they had like a sister of OG and different things also. And they had a skunk tange and different strains that they were all putting out at the same time.
So I think another big question that people have is like, how many of these cuts, in your opinion, are all just this same cut renamed? Because I've always heard like, okay, one thing I've heard for a while is that Ghost OG is Earth OG, or Earth OG is Ghost OG renamed. But I mean, to what extent are all the OGs
Here's
just
the
that same
thing,
cut
what I
renamed?
think is that if it's OG and true, it came from this cut. Otherwise, it's a cross or a herb from a different plant that crossed it, and they got a different cut grown from a seed. But other than that, I don't know of any other people that had an OG original cut unless it came from Josh. I'd never seen it or heard of it before I met these guys. And I had been smoking the suit, like when you guys talked about skunk with the road, nasty skunk smell and taste. That's my generation back then in the 80s when I was smoking. And after that, you really didn't see much real strong, good weed here and there, but they were all just chronics until someone started naming them. And when Josh brought out the OG and his little crew, that's really got popular. That and the Bubba did for a while. And then the OG stuck up and stood out, and Bubba kind of dropped off. It's more like a commercial, lower grade smoke now.
And you've done a couple crosses yourself. You did the people specifically asked to hear you speak a bit about your Banana Kush.
Yeah, I had purchased auction seeds off a Gypsy site, and I bought the Sagamartha 6040. And when I grew it out, it didn't have any really high to it, but it had a really good smell. It smelled like bananas. So I crossed the OG with it, and that's how I got that strain. And I back crossed it a couple times to get it more stable.
How many seeds did you run when you made that cross? I used the 6040 male and hit the OG with it.
Yeah.
And then how many did you run through to find that pheno that you went with for the Banana Kush?
I threw out about 200 seeds.
Wow. Because I got some Banana Kush out in Santa Rosa when I was just there for the cup, and it was prime, like proper, so good. It smelled like I was putting my nose in a banana field. Like it was fantastic.
And it's always gorgeous too. Like
It looked
it's just
beautiful.
gorgeous.
Yeah, nice nugs.
And then you did Blackberry Kush too, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, I
And
have.
I got a cut of that blackberry.
I must have.
Seeds that were like S2s or S3s. Or F2s or F3s. Sorry. And
What was the strain it was a cut of? You broke up for a sec there.
blackberry from Naboo.
From Naboo?
Naboo.
Uh-huh.
From High Times.
Okay.
You heard of him, right?
Yeah.
One of my friends had got like seeds from him, and I grew them out, and then I crossed it with a cut of rhino that my friend had, and the rhino's kind of like a bubble cut.
Okay.
It was close, but it had more purpleization to it, and it made the blackberry more tight, crystallized, more looking like a bubble nug than a big like nug with no crystals. It's just like a big, beautiful nug, but it had no real crystal to it. Very little high.
That's exactly how I have maybe 200 of the Blackberry Bubba over at Dixie Elixirs right now growing, and they're short little stocky guys, but they are just so sugared and just nice. Just nugs everywhere. It's just almost essentially each branch is a cola,
Yeah, that Blackberry is another one that I know the outdoor growers up north have been rocking for a long time. I know some of the first like farmer hash I got out here from out there was Blackberry. That was proper, was Blackberry. It's a cut that I think's often duplicated and never replicated too. And that's something that leads into an interesting question. Like what did it look like in the early days when you were getting, So you were selling a lot of the seeds of the OG. Were people popping those, knocking them off, and selling their own OGs, or how did that? Did people generally respect that you were the guy, or how did that play out?
And a lot of it in the beginning, there was even videos on YouTube where people were talking shit and saying that I was fake and that, this strain isn't the Holy Grail, and putting up funny pictures of me and different things that weren't even me. But a lot of other people that actually got to try it and taste it, and I sent samples even to Gypsy Nirvana in the mail. I would mail out like hash and weed and stuff like that to people all over so that they could try it and see. And I got a lot of good response from that once people actually got to try it. People started like understanding that the seeds that I put out were real and that the strain was really good. The people that made all the crazy seeds on Cannabis World that would go for a high price with Dutch Fashion, I had sent them a clone. And they wrote me back basically that this is the strongest weed they've ever tried compared to anything that they've ever bred. So that was quite impressive to hear from a company that makes seeds that were selling for $600 and $800 a pack.
Wow. Wow, that's really impressive. So when you're in this thing selling seeds, though, I mean, are people contacting you saying, "Oh man, I found this Keeper Pheno. I think it's a unique cut." I guess what we're trying to unravel is how do all these cuts connect? Which ones are just a rename? Which ones are seeds you put out? Which ones are self-clone?
The seeds I put out went out through Gypsy, and they were Ogres Kush instead of OG Kush.
Okay, so Ogre's Kush is seeds. Now, how are those made?
They were made by, there's a chemical that you can buy. You buy 2 chemicals, you mix them in the water and you spray it on it, and it forces the plant to turn to a male plant.
So you hermed it out like with sounds like maybe a silver nitrate or a silver compound, and did like a self-pollination. So those are like OG Kush S1s.
Yes.
Cool. And so what year did you, well, let me ask this. What year did you start putting the clones out? And then what year did you start putting the seeds out?
I would say probably 2001, 2002 in there.
I was in like 5th grade.
Were you doing that so was that were you putting the seeds and the clones out at the same time, or was it like the clones, those few clones went out? And
the first clones went out to once I had purchased the cut, and I had been talking to people on Overgrow. I had made friends, and I sold a few to people on Overgrow and a couple to people off of Cannabis World, which was Ghost. And there's another kid, I don't remember his name at the moment. And they have made seeds to like a company called C2.
uh-huh.
They made seeds also.
I think I've seen C2 places, yeah.
And his seeds were all herms that came out at first of his OG, so they had a lot of problems with it because they did it wrong. If you don't physically only did OG the first couple pollens, the seeds came back herming. You had to find the perfect mix to get the pheno to actually turn female completely and not herm out on every batch.
Interesting. So there was something in actually turning your female plant into a male to make your pollen to hit your other female with, that you had to do that just right so that the seeds weren't herms? Is that what you're saying?
Well, once you spray the plant down, the female that you want, you stick her in the flower,
Uh-huh.
and that has to create pollen balls.
Right.
Each time you create pollen balls and then you pollinate a plant, the seeds come back from them. You kind of grow some of those seeds out and bloom them.
So,
And for a few rounds, they were growing back as herms. It was getting the amount of chemicals to the right level to not over-affect the plant so it wouldn't herm.
I got you.
It didn't carry the herm with
Right.
the herm.
So it's not in the
Right,
seeds.
right.
It's just in the plant. So it's not like saturated.
Now,
I got you.
could you have done it where, was there a possibility of you completely ruining something and having it be to the point where it hermed, and then, like you said, the plants, the seeds that came from that then hermed, where it was irreversible almost, where like you took a cut and it's like, nope, now I can't reverse it.
Basically throw away and start over.
Right.
What I like about that is that literally we're saying the strain is so good that really we're just only going to cross it with itself
Right.
and just
Yeah, no one wanted to
keep
dilute
it true. Yeah,
No one wanted to dilute it.
right. No one said let's yield more and scruff it up a bit.
So that's also the other interesting thing is that, you know, the yields, they're up there now. People have their technique down, etc. But they're never going to compare to the cash crops that people run and have traditionally run out in Cali. And I think even despite that, the herb was so not just so good, but so uniquely good at the time that people were ready to just jump on it.
Yeah. The sad thing now that I see, though, that really disturbs me out here is that because of the whole medical scene,
Right.
the quality has really dropped. And before, like the jars and stuff, like I was buying from Josh and his crew over there, oh my God, just smoking it, the crystals all over, you know, just sticking to the glass. It's just looking insane. And now it's like every OG is just green and you don't see that super calicky, crystally looking good bud. It's really hard and it takes a lot of money and time to get it to look right. And if they don't want to put the time in because they're not getting paid anymore for it, then you're not going to get the quality we were getting back when these stuff weren't here.
I think that's an interesting point. Like back in the day, cuts got legend or strains became legendary because they were held by like relatively small crews, you know, and they were the people just like Sour Diesel. That many crews were running diesel, we know at the time. Those were the dudes who were doing a really good job with it that people got sour over the quality of it. And they became known the sour crew, so it became Sour Diesel. And it's like when certain crews are doing a good job and they're rocking a certain strain, that strain gets the reputation, but it's really the growers who deserve the credit, obviously, because you can do that. You can grow that badly too.
Yeah, and that's what it seems like now is you got a lot of people that just want to grow, putting out a whole bunch of poor product. So it's really hard to find anything good for people that don't grow for themselves, that aren't in it for the smoke.
So how is, you know, we got about 8 minutes and then we're going to move on with some music here, but I want to talk about like how has, you know, being that close to OG affected your life, your career, or is that just something in your past now?
It's not in my past, really. It still helps me survive every day. The problem, though, for me is I've gone through a lot of medical stuff, so I'm having issues trying to do anything anymore. So I have to be really small because I can't really walk around. So I couldn't run a warehouse or do anything, but OG is an everyday part of my life, you know?
And how do you feel about like its impact? Like, I mean, everyone know that like our OG episodes are our most popular episodes because it's the one strain everybody knows. Like, is that like obvious that of course it's the one everyone knows, or is that do you feel proud about that? Like, how does that you know, do you reflect on that ever? Or is this a weird question?
No, it's really, to me, it's really amazing. It seems like even though Amsterdam was rated like the top place to get good strains, it seems like California is, you know? It seems like OG's really put its place on the market and its name out there to everyone, everywhere, throughout the United States, at least, that I know. People want to smoke OG, you know, when people are asking for pounds, they're not over here asking for Granddaddy Perps or anything. They're coming down here driving from state to state to buy OG
Yeah.
and take it back to their state to sell, or have people bring it there just so that they can sell it. You got to remember, back in the day over here, when it's still legal and it was illegal in New York, it's still going for $9,000 to $10,000 a pound there.
Yeah.
So OG was the thing that everybody wanted, and you know, I would have people coming to me and want to buy 20, 30, 50 pounds, and I don't have the ability to supply that at that point, but the demand is here still for it every day.
And it's evolved almost into like a pop cult, like Kush. No one was talking about Kush before OG Kush, and it's a common term for herb now. Like it's crossed over. It's been one of the main terms that's crossed over. I don't know, Ryan. You might generational translator.
Well, no, for sure. I mean, even like you said, I mean, in all the different areas of America or the world even, they have their own names. Florida's Crippy, and and then you go over to the East Coast and they have a different name than they do on the West Coast. But no matter where you go, it seemed that Kush was always referred to growing up as good weed. If it's good weed, it didn't matter what it was when you were buying it on the black market. It's almost like, oh, dude, I got this fire Kush. It's like, back then you don't know anything about it, but that's what, you starting to really smoke until mid 2000s was that's pretty much what everything good was. If it came around, it was Kush, even if it wasn't Kush. That's just what it was referred to. It was strange.
And then, what do you think about all the different, I don't know. I guess what's made this episode really interesting in this whole quest for us, right, is there were so many of us who thought we were so smart because we knew all the different cuts of OG and da-da-da-da, and this one and that one. They collect them all, and they're all the same cut. Not they're all the same cut, but at least a whole bunch of them are definitely now confirmed the same cut. What do you think about all that? The name games and the different cuts and this and that.
I think it's ridiculous and funny that people got to change the names and not keep it to one. And that when you go to clubs, everything's named OG too. And even though you can go in and smell it and it's all different, or none of it's really the real stuff. Half the time in the very beginning when they started, now it seems like they're getting more together, but a lot of people are calling anything OG just to try to market it.
Does that frustrate you?
Yes, very much.
I wonder how many poor bud tenders who don't know any better have tried to sell you on some not OG.
Right. Yeah. Do you know who I am? Gosh. Yeah, and I think it's funny too. That's on the retail level, but even among the growers, we know people who pride themselves on having 16 different OGs, 30 different OGs.
And how many of them are the same cut in their garden? Now that I'm sitting here thinking, how much money are half these dispensaries wasting because they have 4 of the same thing with different names?
Yeah.
I only have one cut of OG.
There's only one cut of OG. Dude, it's funny too because people have been on our chats, debated this with us on some specific. Now there are some others that we're trying to unravel. Maybe you can shed some light. The Hell's Angel. We heard we got to talk to Wick about that. I don't know. Maybe one of our later callers, Chris, said he was trying to reach out to him, and maybe he could tell us about that. The Tahoe. Where does that come into the picture in your recollection?
From what I was told, is the Tahoe OG is just the same OG that Josh had.
I believe that. I've always believed that. But I'm just wondering, we got to talk to who in Tahoe had it. We got to just find the person and close the loop.
Now there's another strain added to the list, Tahoe OG, same cut.
And then what about what's that, Chris? The Fire OG? The Fire I feel like was later, right?
Yeah. The Fire came out later. It could be a cross or whatever, but
yeah, I think that was like a OG Bubba cross maybe. But then the other early cuts, the Hell's Angel, that one we said is Wick.
Here, and I had a lot of different friends that were with the Hell's Angels and Mongols and stuff that lived out here, and I never heard of OG from them ever.
Yeah, that's what we've always said. We've never heard of a Hell's Angel having OG.
Never.
And the fact that there's a cut named Hell's Angel OG just always seemed weird. The Larry OG?
No, that seemed to come out way later after, someone making up a story to produce where it came from or something.
Yeah, it's a cool story. It's one of my favorite stories, but it doesn't make sense. Yeah, it did seem to come up later, and tracking that down is interesting.
There's the Rascal OG, too.
The Rascal OG. Well, I think that comes from Rascal, right?
Yeah, from OG Rascal, making crosses and stuff.
So, but now, and he was just working with the same OG, though.
Yeah, just the same OG cut.
Yeah. I think there's only one OG, guys.
Yeah, it looks like there's really only one.
I mean, we'll talk to Doc and we'll talk to OG Cushman later because they did the poison and the face-off, but those were bag seeds, mostly in your packs.
That probably came from this cut, is what it sounded
it's
like.
all bag seeds from this cut. And the question is, how different can they actually be?
I don't know on that, to me, it's a lot to do with the growers and the food and who's taking care of it and where it's grown at. That it comes off with a little bit of different taste, a little bit of different look and flavor.
I agree. And I think it's funny maybe that people Because there's so many people who are like, oh, I have it dialed. You know, you got to really feed this cut a little more of this, and like that's why it tastes a little different because you're feeding
Yeah.
it a
If you
little
fed
more
the
of that.
one cut the same as
Yeah,
the other one,
yeah,
they'd be
yeah.
exactly the same. Yeah.
Possibly. All right, dude. Well, we want to thank you for coming on. We're gonna move on to some music now, but thanks for being in touch, and I'm sure we're gonna have a huge response, so we will reach back out to you in the near future, my friend.
All right, awesome. Thank you. You guys have a great day.
Yeah, you too,
man.
bro.
Thanks
Thank
for
you.
coming
And
on.
thanks for putting the OG out there.
Yes,
dude,
yes.
from all of us.
Keep doing it. Bag seeds.
Hey, no problem. Thank you, guys.
Peace.
Take care. Awesome. He was in the past 3 episodes that we've had. Like you guys have known, I've been slightly bored. That guy kept my interest. I actually enjoyed his conversation. It was really good. I was really
Good.
happy about that.
Good. Now talk about what we got going on. right
Stick
here.
figure. So I talked to the guys on Stick Figure today. We were just
I
shooting.
thought it's a guy. How are you always saying guys?
Okay, so because Scott Woodruff who is like the head of Stick Figure.
Who, by the way, they have like 114,000 Facebook likes,
They're
and
not-
so many of my friends like them.
Oh, yeah,
so
man,
I'm
they're
clearly
solid,
just not
dude.
hip.
No, that's what I
I've
mean.
never heard of it either. I thought.
So
It's
Scott
okay, Murphy.
was,
We listen to dance hall, so
Scott
we're
was
plugged
born
into a whole
in,
different
in
arm
like
of reggae.
Massachusetts and did all that crazy stuff, played all the instruments. His first 3 albums, he wrote every instrument, recorded everything, did everything himself, and didn't tour. He made money just solely off of merchandise and selling his albums. Then he put out his next one, in which he has a touring band now, and now those guys are part of Stick Figure Dub, and when they put out their next album or whatever, it'll be a group collaborative effort. However, he is just, he's a musical genius. But when I say them, I mean like the tour manager, and I'm in touch with the owner of the label,
team.
Thomas. Yeah,
The team.
So we were trying to figure out what we were going to do to like maybe bring in some listeners. So I was like, well, why don't we just toss them some general admission tickets? So we have 2 general admission tickets to the Stick Figure Dub show in Denver. I believe it's on October 11th, which is a Saturday. So I believe the doors open at like 6 o'clock. We'll transfer over all the venue information.
And you're going to be on Stick Figure's guest list if you
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
This,
so
right?
you'll be
you
on
get
Stick
to go up to
Figure's
the
guest
window and be
list.
like, oh, I'm on the
Yep.
Stick Figure list.
Yeah, you'll just make sure you bring your ID.
Cut the line. Always cut
yeah,
the line when you're on
you
the
walk
guest
right
list.
up to
Don't
the-
ask
Yes.
anyone.
Yep.
Just cut the line. When they say walk right up to the window, you just go in front of everyone.
walk right up to
and
the
be
window.
like, I'm on Stick Figure's
I'm
list.
on the guest list. They'll hook you up with your 2 passes, and like I said, I'll be there, and I'll be backstage kicking with the guys. So maybe we can try to arrange like a meet and greet
Little
type
sesh,
thing if they're
little
free.
sesh,
We're
yeah.
gonna bring him in for an acoustic session, but he's got 2 shows in Denver day after each other, so
busy.
we need to make sure he keeps his voice fresh and all that good stuff.
Okay, so how do you win them?
So we're just gonna have you text over to what we now have clearly established is my damn cell phone number.
Yes.
But so just text over to my cell phone, and I will take.
What's the number?
I don't know. Give me a number. Somebody, give me a number 1 through 10. 69.
1 through 10 is not 69.
So let's do 7.
7.
7.
Sure.
So I'll take the seventh texter. Remember, you have to be
Wait, Ryan. Wait. Why would anyone text right now?
because we're gonna win the tickets.
Yeah,
So
but I would wait. I would be like, all right,
nope.
give
You
your
can-
phone number out. and
I'm
prove
gonna give
me
my
wrong.
phone number out, and you guys can send in a text. with
Especially
the phone
because it's a
number,
live stream. Like you can see how many texts you're getting.
Just saying Stick Figure.
How about you send Ryan the best text?
That's too confusing because then I have to actually read all the shit. I just
That's
wanna count
okay.
a
The
number.
best text that we get within the next 15 minutes.
Okay, but you have to be
Oh,
in Denver.
the best text we get while we're listening to Stick Figure here.
Okay,
or
so
willing
you-
to travel to Denver.
Okay, that's fine. You have to be in Denver, willing to travel to Denver, but you have to make sure that you're able to make it October 11th in Denver
What
for
if-
the show.
What if they post to the Facebook and then we'll know if they're in Denver?
I kind of like when
No?
Ryan's phone
Alright.
blows up. Yeah.
No,
All right,
I
so
mean,
while
take
we're
advantage of
playing
having
this,
Well,
Ryan's
no,
phone
no, we
number.
can't. My
Save
phone's
it in
only
your
on
phone.
2%, and I'm not
okay,
lying.
post to the
2% battery.
Facebook.
So we got to post to the Facebook. So post to the Facebook.
I have an emergency charger though. Like,
no, post to the Facebook.
Post to the Facebook.
Okay.
We'll say just post Stick Figure Dub tickets, and we'll
No,
make
the
it an
best
interesting
post to our Facebook page.
But this song here is Brittany's favorite song. This one's "Coming Home," so we'll play "Coming Home" off of the Burial Ground album that they have. So again, Stick Figure, look for some tickets.
write history.
And we're back. That was Stick Figure Dub.
And I got a text from Swayze's ghost, and apparently he is pregnant.
He freaked out, dude.
And
I
it's
gotta tell you,
mine.
Ryan got a text and his face like went white and then it went red.
And I'm like, it's just Swayze's ghost saying that he's pregnant, and apparently the kid is mine. So let me know where I got to send the child support check to, dude, and we'll get it taken care of. Promise.
That's a really
that easy.
It's a weird thing to say, bud.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that means.
Well, you asked for the craziest things the people send me.
No, I said the best. All right. Well, let's take a minute to shout out Way to Grow.
Way to grow.
Way to Grow, been a longtime supporter of the Adam Dunn Show. If you're here in Colorado, if you're out there and about in the place, but
Online on the
online on the internet, that
Interweb.
place, yeah, that ephemeral place. Go to waytogrow.net. If you're in Colorado, go to one of their 6. I hear they're about to open their 7th store. The sale this month is on Canna. All Canna's 25% off at Way to Grow. And now, if you go into Way to Grow and you say Adam Dunn Show, when they say, what's your account? At the end, if you've never been to Way to Grow, if you've never been to a grocery store, I think a lot of grocery stores work this way. Mm-hmm. You go in, and at the end, they say, what's your account? And it's basically saying, what's the password? And there's different passwords for everyone. And your password is Adam Dunn Show. And if you say Adam Dunn Show, they're going to hook you up. So that's the deal with Way to Grow. And then, of course, also shout out to Incredibles, the best edibles in Colorado.
They're
Love
incredible.
New flavors yet?
There's no new flavors, but I'm pretty sure I can name all the flavors.
You have 15 seconds for that challenge.
Blueberry Bliss, Mile High, Mile Higher, Boulder Bar, the Monkey Bar, the Strawberry Crunch Bar, the Cookies and Cream Bar, the Peaches and Cream Bar, the Fireberry Bar, the Makita Bar, and then I'm pretty sure that is it. Pretty sure
That
it's
was
all of
only
them.
10.
It's only 10. They have 11. So which one am I missing?
Did you say the Mile High and
Oh,
Mile
the Peanut
Higher?
Butter Buddha. Bam.
Mile High and Mile
Mile High
High?
and Mile Higher. Yeah.
So how could they only have 11 if you're naming all these other ones?
No, we already said Mile High, Mile Higher.
Okay.
Boom.
That's Incredibles.
They
Check
have a
them
shit
out.
ton of bars.
IncrediblesColorado.com. They're excellent. They're excellent edibles. And I believe, moving right along, we do have the man himself. Oh, wait. One more shout out. Sorry. We're now officially partnered with Build a Soil.
Build us.
After a long time of hyping them just because we love their product, they hit us up and said, you guys actually have been obviously loving their product too and enthusiastically supporting them, and they therefore have been supporting the show. And that's a cool thing for us to have going on.
It's an official partnership with Build a Soil.
Official partnership. And, of course, whenever you go to Build a Soil, use the coupon code Adam Dunn. I always, and Adam said this, but I am in the habit of, someone just hit me up the other day and they're like, I went to the Incredible site and I ordered an Incredible. I tried using Adam Dunn. It didn't work. What's going on? Like, it's true. Like, it's worth, try it everywhere, though. Yeah. It'll catch on, except at our own store, in which case it's Tads 420, right?
Tads 420 at the e-store. And we do have
what's the website there?
The Hoodlam e-store is going to be shop.hoodlabstore.com, and you'll be able to go and pick up all your Hoodlam gear. We're going to be restocked on Adam Dunn show shirts real
you
soon.
guys bought the hell out of those really quick.
Yeah, real quick. So, yeah, and then the coupon code there, before you pay, right at your shopping cart, just enter Tads 420. It'll take 10% off your whole order. But
cool.
So now,
and we got...
We're going to be having Chris come, right?
Yeah, he's on, dude. So Chris Casas, OG Cushman, who just won himself a first-place Indica Cannabis Cup.
Yes, I'm here. How's it going, guys?
Yes, I am here. It's going good, buddy. How are you?
I'm actually got the phone on my shoulder, and I'm rolling a spliff, and I'm trying to bring my dog inside. It's like 108 degrees outside right now.
Jesus Christ.
Pretty gnarly.
So what's it like to finally capture the gold, bud? I know that's since I've known you a few years, that's been your quest, and with this strain, that's the awesome thing. So Chris has entered Cookie Monster since I've seen him, waiting for it to get the goddamn recognition it deserves, essentially, and you finally did it, bud.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. I mean, everybody always, says that I grow good herb, and I know that I grow good herb. It feels good to get some recognition finally, And all I can say is it's the first of many. I'm coming hard. I'm coming hard.
So we're on the phone to talk about OG Kush, which is you are OG Kush, man, so that's like your thing. But before we even get into that, I do want to take a minute to hype Cookie Monster because I've been hype on the strain, dude. I told everyone when I came back from the April Cup here, and I came back from that with a sample with pretty much 4 different cookies. I had some foam cookies, whatever. Then I had that dude from Skunk House's cookies, which to me, I don't know how they got that, but that's a very real... I can't explain it. I don't know if it's a bag seed. I don't know what the fuck, but that shit is a lot like the real deal cookies. Then I had Doc's, who's going to be on later today, Samoa's, very proper. But that Cookie Monster had rails of trikes on it, dude.
Yeah, I make things stand out. You know what I mean? If there's a smell or a trike that can be pulled off the nut, I'm pretty damn sure that I can do it.
That's a bold statement.
But yeah, it's a very resinous strain, and some of the crosses that I got coming out of it right now are just fucking phenomenal.
What's the cross in the Cookie Monster, dude?
The Cookie Monster PSA, and then I'm working on the back cross right now. We're seeing some really good, promising things out of that. There's big things. I'm about to work a mango haze C dominant male into my lines, and we just hit that to the Cookie Monster and quite a few other things. So we're going to see what those cookie lines can do with some good old fashioned haze behind the jeans with it as well. So.
And what'd you use to make the Cookie Monster?
Go on.
What's the cross on the Cookie Monster?
Cookies GDP.
Oh, okay, Cookies GDP. No, and that actually explains that quite well because it's like a really purple, slightly sweeter cookies.
Yeah, it's got that weird astringent quality to it. We'll call it.
Yeah.
It's got a really strong smell, and yet it's got that floral sweetness from the perps just a little bit in there.
Yeah, and it's just a really nice. Man, and the nugs they're gorgeous. Visually, some of the best bag appeal I've seen. But now,
give thanks to the cookie family for making the cookies to begin with. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's where it starts, dude. So let's move right along. Let's talk about OG, buddy. So I don't know, were you listening to the first part of the show here?
No, I wasn't. I was actually sleeping 30 minutes ago.
That's excellent. That's exactly what you slept through last week when you were supposed to be on. So I got to bust your balls about it now.
Yes, I drove 22 hours straight last weekend, and I was like, hallucinating driving down the road.
After you were tripping face receiving your award, yeah?
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If I'd have been able to handle that.
Well.
I was tripping when I won my first cup,
I,
too.
but
It's
I,
the
dude, I'm
Grand
just like thinking of the cup this
tradition.
year, and like I just don't think. I mean, Dustin's tincture was enough. At that, I don't think I'd been able to handle winning an award on mushrooms or acid or anything like that.
It's the way to do it in my experience.
When your
Especially
herb's
your
that
first
good,
one.
you know,
Yeah.
you just.
So, all right, dude. We just were talking through it with Oregon Kid, and we figured out that for sure the Oger, the original OG Kush, Ghost's OG, are definitely all the same cut, and that also probably the Soul Assassin cut are all the same cut, and that he heard that the Tahoe was the same cut. And I'm bringing you into the story because you are very close to a person who is extremely close to the Tahoe.
Yeah, that would be my brother Eric Slop from KOG and LTS, old school graffiti crews, originators in Los Angeles. My link to some of the best weed I've ever smoked, you know. But yeah, I mean, that you never know. You know what I mean? You never know.
Yeah.
The Tahoe could be an actual seed that was sprouted up in Tahoe from the some of the original S1s, and that made its way.
But what was his role in it? He brought that clone, right? Like he's the dude who brought that clone.
Yeah.
From Tahoe, he drove it from Tahoe to L.A. and named it the Tahoe because he got it in Tahoe. Yeah.
He didn't name it the Tahoe. He called it the KOG.
Okay.
After the graffiti crew that we're from, and it's been kept around and called the KOG. It was just called the OG back in the days. It never had the Tahoe term.
And then is that your uncirculated OG or that's a different cut?
No, the uncirculated OG is a complete different cut.
Okay. So
completely different.
So, but sorry, back to the KOG. So tell me more on that.
I mean, that's pretty much all I know. Is the first OG that I seen was coming from my buddy, you know, and that was in the late '90s. And I mean, we were paying $8,000 a fucking pound for it all the way. You know what I mean? And it was a new thing, you know. It was the new thing. That was right after we were seeing the Kevorkian's death, which was a Williams Wonder Hindu cross. I later found out that was held by a person called the Prophet. He's currently in prison right now, and the Kevorkian died with him because he did not want to hand it out to anybody or share it with anybody. And that was some of the first weed that I ever smoked. It was $400 an ounce. Really blew our minds. We were fucking, 15, 16 years old. We were used to smoking dank and paying for dank, but these guys wanted $400 for a fucking ounce and $60 for an eighth. And we were like, what? Fuck that. And then they brought the herb over and we handed the money over, no fucking question, you know? And then that guy got rolled a couple years later, and we were just looking for the next thing, you know what I mean? And the OG kind of just popped up on the scene. It's pretty crazy.
And so as time passed, you became aware of the OG how?
Through my fucking smoking it and moving it.
Yeah.
I moved many pounds of it from the LA area out to the Inland Empire area. And I would basically go in the morning and pick up 2 or 3 pounds, bring them back, move them out, go back around like 2 or 3 in the afternoon to Los Angeles, pick up a few more, come back, put them all out in ounces, quarters, and keep the cycle going. I kept my dudes happy. My dudes kept me fucking stocked with herb, and it was the way that it got known out here and quite well known, that's for sure. I used to sell to quite a few people that sold to very, very big names. I used to sell to a lot of the Metal Militia guys. My buddy used to sell to quite a few big name baseball players that used to play for the Angels. A lot of rappers used to buy the herb. You know, it made its way around. It was its own fucking entity within 2 years. You know what I mean?
So were you, I guess, what are your feelings on that? That's kind of something we got into with Oregon Kid too. Like, how do you feel? Were you impressed? Were you surprised at all by the impact it's made on like pop culture? Like how everyone knows Kush, or everyone thinks they know Kush, at least knows the word Kush, or how many people know OG?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people don't know OG. They just know the word. So they tag it onto a lot of things, and it's quite annoying from a breeder's point of view to see somebody put a strain out that's maybe 20% OG at best, and it has the name OG on it.
Yeah, but from a
Or it
graph
has the
writer's
name
point of
Kush on the
view,
end.
from a graph writer's point of view, how do you feel about the rep of the strain being that big?
The rep of the strain, I mean, it was going to get that big. You know what I mean?
It was bound to be.
Like I said, it was its own entity. You know what I mean? It built up steam before we had really even that much of a chance to build it up itself. The smoke spoke for itself back then. That's the thing with OG. The reason it got to be so big is because there was a small circle of people that were blowing it up. They would not give it out, and they knew what they were doing. They knew how to knock that strain out of the fucking park every time. You know what I mean? And then as the cut itself got out, and as, S1 seeds got out and people popped S1s, then you got, tons of people growing it all of a sudden that have no clue what they're doing, no idea as to anything but to try to make money off the next big thing, And that in my eyes where the strain really went downhill. You know what I mean? Too many people growing it, not knowing how to grow it, not knowing what they're doing, just trying to belong and be the guy that grows OG. You know what I mean? And that to me was kind of the death of the strain. Too many people not knowing what they're doing, growing it shitty, and just running it into the ground.
And that seems to be like a common, that's what we kind of came to with Oregon Kid too, that it was like, it almost got its rep. Yeah, the genetics are there. They have certain capabilities that are very unique. But it was the growers who were running it, and it was because it was closely held. This is that age-old argument, like, people call it hoarding strains, but the only way a strain can get rep is if you only know that the only people putting it out are people who are going to bring out its best. And it's
not to fucking toot any horns or anything, but there's 3 people right now that have the Cookie Monster other than me. They all grow it. You'll see it, and it'll be a fucking a Prius next to a Cadillac. You know what I mean? Sure, the Prius is still efficient, runs great, it's an awesome fucking thing, but it's not that Cadillac. You know what I mean? And that's kind of why there's the people that do grow the fucking Cookie Monster. I ask them to keep it in house, so to speak. I like my product going out because my product is that much better, and that's how strains, like you say, when the grower busts it out, people are like, wow, I want that. They don't want the strain, they want the fucking herb that I'm growing, that I'm knocking out,
Yeah.
They don't want the Cookie Monster from fucking Joe, and Joe didn't have that much time to do it and did it in a hot room, and it came out kind of good, And that's what I see happening with the cookie strain itself. It's great, but you have to see 20 different versions of it before you find one that's fucking cool. When before, a few people grew it, came out really nice. Now everyone's growing it, and there's a lot of subpar samples. So younger people and inexperienced people will see those samples and be like, wow, this is worthless. This is what the hype's over. This is what people are hyping over, you know what I mean? And then fucking, I pull out a sample of some stuff that I grew, and people are like, wow, this is what the fucking hype's over. I can see that, It's, I don't know, man. It's a crazy situation that's going on.
And it's funny, too, because it's almost like some of that, like the strain hype definitely bled over into the dispensary era. And, like, this is unrelated to testing, unrelated to, like, actual medical need and terpene profiles and all that. It was just strain hype, especially in the L.A. area where people want that Kush. They want that Kush. And
oh yeah. They'll have 15 different fucking so-called cuts of OG on their shelf, and out of the 15, there are probably three cuts that were grown by 15 people, shitty, nice, okay, and fucking one awesome. You know what I mean? It's kind of a shitty situation.
It's interesting.
The scene needs an injection of truth and knowledge, and that's why I really appreciate what you guys are doing with the show, because it's bringing a whole lot of eggs out of the basket. You know what I mean?
We're trying to get at the bottom of it, because I think a lot of us, Murphy, you ran a dispensary. You saw the hype for, I remember when people were crazy for OG cuts.
Yeah, I wasn't early enough to know about OG when, like you're saying, Chris, back when a few people had it, they did it well and they preserved that quality. By the time I was running into OG, it was just something everyone was doing and saying and calling it, and it's interesting because everyone wants to talk about it like it's a question of genetics, and we're sitting here doing the detective work, finding out it's not a question of genetics at all. It's like a brand management issue. It's a crappy knockoff because they have your product and they're misrepresenting it with inexperience.
Yeah, I mean it's crazy. Back then I was moving massive amounts of fucking herb for these guys, and they knew how good I could grow herb back then, and I begged them, my friends, for a cut, and I got told no. They're like, if you really want to run it, we can go to our partner, we can get you a flat of cuts for $5,000, and that's the way we can, that's the only way that it can be done. You have to purchase your way in. And I chose not to. But it's crazy, OG Rascal bought his fire cut of OG from, we're pretty sure, my circle of people, because we know I haven't spoken with him on the person that he purchased them from. I'm pretty sure he got them from my friend, I don't want to say his name. But we'll call him P. I'm pretty sure he got his flat of cuts from my buddy P, and which was the KOG, and then he goes on to call it the Fire OG because he thought it was the best OG that he had seen. You know what I mean?
So wait, let's pause it for a
second. The Fire OG isn't the Fire OG.
That KOG
just an old
is the
cut from the valley.
The KOG is the cut your boy brought from Tahoe.
Yes, sir.
We strongly believe is the same cut. And that also became the Fire OG, yeah?
Oh, yeah, pretty sure on that one.
Wow, crossed another one off the list. The
Right.
Fire OG is also the same OG. So what do you think then of people who have 10 different OGs, all these cuts we're talking about?
In people's minds, I'm sure they'd like to believe a lot of things. Some of the cuts you mentioned yesterday, the Hell's Angels.
Yeah, tell me about the Hell's Angels. Did you get a hold of Wick?
I did not. I can tell you, I've grown the Hell's Angels about 5 times, and I don't know what you guys have heard about it, but I feel it's a hybrid. I feel there's something else in there. So I get fist size nugs and organics, which is kind of non-characteristic of OG to me. I get nice sized nugs of OG in my soil, but nowhere like you can with hydro or with an organic based nutrient in the water line. And I definitely think the Hell's Angels got to be a hybrid of some sort. And then you have, the Triple X OG.
Yeah, what is that
Triple X Skunk Cross OG.
Okay.
Then, you have all the named varieties, you know what I mean?
Like which ones?
I mean, the Diamond OG, the Platinum OG, the Hardcore OG, all these names, they're all, 2 or 3 cuts.
Right, so
opinion.
What are that's what we're trying to figure out. We're trying to match them up, right? So we figured out this whole bunch: Fire OG, Ghost OG, KOG, Oger, OG Kush. Any more on this? Probably Soul Assassin, we said, are all the same.
So, I mean, I don't want to speak on the Soul Assassin cut
Right.
today,
Yeah.
but I can go ahead and speak with somebody on it in the next few days and get back to you on it.
Yeah, that's.
But I know the crew that still runs Soul Assassin cuts ran it since fucking day one. They're in the music scene.
So if Adam was here, he would say it was his friend Kenji that we were talking to. I don't know if that loosens your tongue at all.
Yeah, I believe I know Kenji, and I believe it's a music circle. It's a music circle.
Yeah. Cool. Well, so our understanding is they got it from Josh's crew. So it seems like Josh's crew is the crew that seems to have put it out at least. We got to see who put it in Tahoe and who had it in Tahoe. So what's the story? Where did your boy discover this cut that he was like made that drive?
Boarding up there.
So he was snowboarding and he smoked some of it?
Yeah. You spoke with Eric briefly.
Yeah, we talked about it. Yeah, we talked about it for sure.
He's such a fucking nomad. It's hard to fucking hold him sometimes.
Yeah, I got that vibe, but definitely when we do like our Adam Dunn Show live thing, we'll fucking get him out here. We'll try to do it around a cup or something.
For sure.
But yeah. So I mean, he just met these random dudes. They had this great herb, and they happen to have been the dudes who were growing it, or did he have to like go on a quest?
I believe one of his buddies that was up there quite a bit more than him hooked him up with the dude.
Really? I wonder if he's still buddies with that guy.
I'm sure he probably is.
Wow.
But I mean, I couldn't tell you 100%.
No, I know, but it's from the detective actually possibly nailing the person who said like, "Oh yeah, Josh, yeah, I got that from Josh for sure." Like if we can close the loop that far, because everyone else has said, "Oh yeah, I got that from Josh," and now you just told us where OG Rascal got the cut from you, and that's definitely the fire's definitely the
not
same.
For me, not for me,
not for me. I'm
not
sorry,
for me.
From within your circle of people, from someone you're acquainted with.
Yes.
Yeah, and that cut is the Tahoe for sure, and we'll find out. If we find out that the Tahoe is the same as the other, then there's only one cut, and that's crazy.
I mean that would be one cut that could make potentially 8, 9, 10 different strains that we have out here that are one thing.
Is that really true? What do you think, bud?
I mean, you never know, bro.
You never know. No, exactly. That's what we intend to know.
We're gonna get to the bottom of this.
But that's another thing, though, that I feel like where nobody's ever gonna be able to say 110% everything came from one place, because who knows that if somewhere something got lost along translation and got switched out for something else, or
well, hey,
you know what I mean?
We can nip it in the bud. You know what I mean? I'm about to put more lights up at the facility that I'm getting, and why don't we just go ahead and gather everything together?
Let's map the genetics.
Head to head.
I can run every goddamn strain next to each other in soil, same new base, same everything, and we'll see what's what. And if everything's the same, that shouldn't be hard at all.
That's a very good idea.
You can weed out the hybrids, you can weed out the S1s, you can weed all that shit right
You'd
on
be able
out
to
the
do
door.
that so quickly. You know what I mean? You wouldn't even have to.
And
You'd be like, that's different. Take it away.
And if anyone wants to hate, they can do it too.
It's not a take it away. That's a new little arm of the mystery that we got to discover. Where did it come from? Who made it? What's the cross? For every little one, we got to cross over a bunch so far. So that's been really good. All right, bud. Well, we're going to rock on with a little music in 6 minutes. You want to talk about what's going on with the seed company?
Sure, man. I previously spoke about a few different directions I'm going right now.
Well, first of all, tell everyone how they can get in touch, where they can grab beans.
Yeah, what's the name? What's the name of the seed company?
I'm the Source Genetics.
Okay. The Source Genetics, yeah. And so, where can they? What's your website? Where can they link with you online? Facebook?
I don't have a website. I have my name on Facebook, Chris Cassis, which is just me, and my Instagram account, The Real OG Kush Man. I produce all my seeds on site at my home. I'm a small breeder. I breed medical seeds for medical patients. I don't really have a website because I haven't figured out that aspect of it yet, because I'm still producing, again, med seeds for med patients. I travel to all the cannabis cups in med states. My seeds are available there. My seeds are available to meet in person. Until I figure out the distribution aspect, which will be coming up real soon. My seeds will be available in Europe and Spain, all over the globe.
Nice.
It seems you already have like a pretty decent following here. You have like over almost 9,000 followers on Instagram, which is pretty solid. I haven't had a chance to really check out the Facebook yet.
Yeah, I started my Instagram last April. I'm pretty new to that thing still.
Hey man, 8,000, 9,000 viewers for a year, or followers for a year. That's solid. Yeah, you're doing a good job.
Yeah, you're doing a good job. Hey man, graffiti and weed are go great on Instagram. Like you can, it's kind of like a can't lose combination.
And I'm looking at all of his pictures now. They're all of interesting stuff that you want to click on. So he knows his social media.
So, but we got 5 minutes. Talk more about your genetics, about your lines, your what males you're rocking, where you got them from. You have your pre-Soviet Afghan. Tell us about that.
For sure. Well, we'll go with the pre-Soviet Afghan first. There's a few hundred seeds that were popped by a friend of mine whose father had the seeds, and got one to come up, and that's the pre-Soviet Afghan, non-hybridized, pre-Soviet, before the Soviets invaded Afghanistan, Afghani land race. Turning out some pretty awesome hybrids.
And where did his dad get them from?
What's that?
Where did those seeds come? They came obviously direct from Afghanistan, but what were the circumstances? Like what era?
From a close friend of mine. His father was traveling on the trail back in the days, and he brought back a bunch of seeds.
So legit old school hippie trail, Afghani seeds.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's sweet.
They're my favorite stories. They're like, it's like a fairy tale,
Yeah,
or a magic bean, and.
So they pop.
Oh yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. When you mess with anything that old, you're only going to wind up getting one or two things to pop if you're lucky. One of my friends just went through Carrie Mitch. He just went through about 250 early 70s Colombian gold seeds and got one to sprout a taproot, and it died before it popped cotyledons. Oh. So old seeds like that, they might pop. They might not. If you get something, you're going to use it no matter what, because it's pure, unadulterated, old world genetics.
So what does it do in your crosses?
That's one of the things I'm interested in working with my company. I'm trying to bring old things to light with some of our tried and true, elite strains that we've had over the years, and make new hybrids, but old hybrids. You know what I mean?
So what does it do in your crosses when you cross with that pre-Soviet Afghan?
What's that?
What does it do in your crosses?
What's it doing?
Yeah, what's the effect in the genetics?
It's a land race. It's either throwing out these really gnarly hybrids. It's really bumping up the size, the nug structure and size of the plants. It's giving carbon copies of the mom. It's either giving something or giving nothing. You know what I mean? We're getting some really awesome carbon copies of the moms out of the uncirculated OG pre-Soviet crosses, and it's like a bigger, beefier OG structured plant.
Interesting.
Stems are way bigger. Yields are way, way bigger. And yet it's still keeping that classic, pine sol lemon gas fuel. It's still keeping its true form.
Nice.
Same thing with the AJs, the AJ Sour D cross PSA. We're getting like 1.5 foot long nugs that smell like burnt rubber and gas. Like really gnarly representations of the parent.
This sounds like something I imagine, like dinosaur leaves. I like what I call dinosaur leaves, which are like gigantic fans. I really like those. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing about the PSA, because it shines through or it doesn't. You can spot the pre-Soviet dominant phenos really early by those big giant leaves.
That's nice for people looking for that for breeding purposes. It's really nice. And
exactly. These are true F1 hybrids. So, I mean, people are going to want to, you know, save males out of these to use for their own purposes if they have the inclination to do so.
Word. And I just passed the seeds you gave me over to Adam, so he's going to be running those.
So yeah, they're doing pheno hunts on the Cookie Monster at Natural Remedies, at Green Man Organics. There's a few places out there that are doing some seed runs of my stuff that should be popping up pretty soon here.
Nice. Well,
Should be pretty gnarly to see what some of those clubs can do with my genetics.
we're going to roll with some tunes in a minute here, but I wanted to thank you for being on. Always a pleasure. Thanks for shedding some light on how it got around in the early days, and that connection with the fire was clutch. We were just groping for that answer minutes ago before you were listening. So we'll definitely be in touch soon, bro.
Congrats on your win.
Awesome.
Yeah, big
All right, thanks a
congrats,
lot.
dude. Well deserved.
Thanks, brother. Talk to you guys soon.
You too, man. Peace. So we got Wet Orange Marmalade again, one of my favorite tunes that we've messed around with.
Past the hour, stash get rationed out. A half an ounce of hash and some grass I can't pronounce. Call me quick, these corny chicks bore me sick. Give me a horny, naughty, gaudy, shorty, dip that 40 sip. Brain fried, take 5 and remain live at the same time. All the girls amazed, all the world's a stage dive. Can't stop the flood, be on the block with Buddy, copping druggy, rocking nothing but a snuggie. Blood playing Tron with Porsches, ain't nothing wrong with flossing. She straight bomb the foreskin, I use a thong to floss. He's a very strange guy, punk rock silly, drum chop AOI, never say die, one eye Willie. The type of hater to bite a player, night sprayer, left the mic flavor like a white lifesaver. At the store dead, I'm more meds, pedal to the floor, rev, snitches get stitches, bitches get war vets. The seagulls rock illegal, spread eagle, we dope, East Coast, copping pet ego in a red peak. Magic adjectives, roll up a fatty with cracks in it, got this, drop hot shit, laxative, beer goggle, the rear model, swallow beer bottle, she'll take it in the rear tonsils, ear nostril. Went to bed, she looked fancy, shrimp scampi, woke up, she looked like Dan V and panties. Damn me, selfish, shellfish, Celtics, helmet, it melted, felt it, smelt it, spelt it, to hell with it. Fortified it with my swag on autopilot, see all y'all my shit live, she get porta potty. No one is cooler, cause school with Bueller, drums get neutered, dumb computer hackers, smacking nuns with ruin. Real life adult swim, Town is Jonestown, post gym. Oh shit.
The next big one.
Seriously.
And we're back with the Adam Dunn Show. We're doing the OG episode. And when we're talking growing, we got to talk Way to Grow. If you're in Colorado, if you're on the internet, go to waytogrow.net. If you're in Colorado, though, go to Way to Grow, the grow store. There's 6 of them. They're all over the place. If they don't have if your reason for not going to Way to Grow is they don't have my line, they don't have your line because you haven't gone in there yet. That's really the thing, because they'll get it for you. They'll just, if you're like, oh, I just want one run, yeah, like, don't worry. If you're doing a big deal, they'll deliver it for you even. And if you tell them Adam Dunn Show, they'll hook you up. I would say that you will be, even if you've been a veteran Way to Grow customer and you have a well-used and respected account at Way to Grow, try Adam Dunn Show. You might be impressed. If not, use your regular. And tell me, too, because then I'll get on Corey's case. And I'll make sure that it's better next time. So try it next time,
If
too.
you have better discounts than us, reciprocate.
Yeah, give us your code,
us
and
out.
we'll say it on the air.
Well,
And big ups Incredibles. We got to get a discount code with Incredibles.
I don't think it really works like that because it's for wholesale, so it would have to be dispensaries getting the discount codes.
Coupons aren't allowed, huh? Wow.
Not no mo.
So we're going to have to figure out some situation to get you guys Incredibles. 'Cause
We
We,
just
keep
need to-
talking about
We
it.
just need to get a hold of one of our people that we know at
What if we
Incredibles
did an Adam Dunn Show bar?
and get
What would you
some-
want in an Adam Dunn Show bar? We're deciding this without Adam.
You don't want to ask me
should
what
we
I
have
want
a
in
flavor
candy.
contest?
Flavor
do a flavor
contest.
contest.
If there's anything Incredibles does, they have a lot of unique flavors that they do pretty well. And I know from some secret inside sources that there were other flavors that didn't make the original cut.
So we should maybe have
So
listeners
maybe.
vote.
Maybe we could drum up
We
something
need an Adam
fresh.
Dunn Show flavor.
Dude, make it so.
Make it so.
I'm making that executive decision. Let's see what we can do.
Let's.
Okay, we also got to, of course, shout Build a Soil. Guys, again, if you're growing, you know what, even if you're not growing organics, this is the cool part. You're in flower, late flower. You don't want to spray anything on your plants right now. You have a problem. We've all been there. I can't say that the solutions at Build a Soil, I can say that you can knock them down, whatever baddies they are, whatever infection it is. You know, I'm not going to guarantee you're going to cure it in a short time. But I can tell you, if you go to Build a Soil and you follow the report and you take the preventative measures and then you build on that with your microbial and your insect preventative measures, you'll never have to worry about that problem. It's doing it ahead of time. And
Wherever you are, there's a solution.
And yeah, either way, go to buildasoil.com. Check out the free information at least. It's always good to learn. And I believe we have the doctor from Archive Seed Bank calling.
Well, yeah, he's gonna be giving us a call
in a little bit.
in just a minute. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So guys, what do you think of the OG story so far?
It's kind of, I don't know. It's like a told you so moment over and over and over, which is kind of amazing because everyone says, you know, we think this OG is this OG, and you know, and people like get really passionate when they argue about their cuts, and so you can never tell anyone they're wrong. But it's, you know, we can tell some people that they're wrong, and it's kind of interesting to see it unfold.
It's weird. It's weird. It's definitely weird. And you know, so the doctor, what he knows is the history of the OG cuts moving around online.
Mm-hmm.
And that's very helpful because that at least gives us a map of which other ones are out there and which ones we got to track down.
Which is cool because this map doesn't really exist.
No.
You know, people kind of, you know, they talk about who they knew and what they did, but now we can really, like, talk about it.
Whenever I think about those kinds of maps, I sort of imagine, like, The Wire, where they have the board on the wall. I'm like, that kind of bugs me out because, you know, that's kind of what it was in cannabis. But
Like one of those connecting tree
I
things,
think more like where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
There you go. That's a much better way.
It's got a more friendly theme
It's still
song.
slightly nefarious.
But it's like super big brother guy on your team helping you locate the origins of the OG Kush.
So we have the Dr. Fletch on the phone right now from the Archive Seed Bank. What's going on, brother?
Oh, not much. Just recovering from a big old full melt dry cyst toke.
Okay, I thought I heard something in the background. Nothing surprising there. So I don't know if you've been listening to the shows so far. Are you up to speed on where we are unraveling in the OG story?
I'm not at all. I literally,
Excellent.
just got to my house 5 minutes ago. So.
Excellent. So it's kind of turning out to be interesting. So we're talking to the guys, right? We know for sure now that OG Kush from Bubba, right, Matt, he gave to his partner Josh.
Right.
Josh, for sure, passed that to Oregon Kid. Oregon Kid, for sure, passed exactly that cut, not an S1 to Ghost.
Correct.
Also, probably, highly probable, that same cut was, when we asked Oregon Kid, he said that same cut was what he thought was being grown up in Tahoe, and we're trying to track that down. But we know that whatever came down from Tahoe to LA, we know the guy for sure who made that connection. Then we know for sure that a guy in that circle sold a flat of those to OG Rascal, and it got named the Fire OG. For sure, same cut. So, with all those connected and sort of crossed off the list, help us put together the pieces on which OGs are the S1s. What are the other OGs out there, man?
Well, there's a lot of them, all of which came mostly during, if you guys remember WIC 650.
Yeah, we tried to
online.
reach out to him. Chris was going to reach out to him. We didn't get a hold of him. I got to hit him up on Facebook. But tell us how WIC fits in with all this.
All right, so basically up until around 2006 or so, really the only OG that was in the online community, so to speak, was the cut from Oregon Kid. And that cut, was basically, what made the seeds that the kid made, which made Banana Kush, Blackberry Bubba, or whatever the cross was for that. So that basically, what you guys were saying basically fits into everything that I was told and knew, and knew about Oregon Kid from 10 years ago from having met him personally and, getting my cuts from him. So Wick fits in right around the time that Swerve started coming online as well. And that was really, the time of the emergence of what would be the newly named OG cuts that weren't in reference to feminized seed offspring, essentially, like the Face-Off number 4 or the Poison, ones that we know for sure came from bag seed.
So now, what were these other ones named cuts
that were straight from bag seed, or the
either one? Either one. Help us. We're trying to cross them off the
list.
list. We're trying to cross them off the list and at least get a full list together. If we know it's definitely bag seed, great. We can cross it off.
Well, the only two I know for sure are bag seed is the Face-Off number 4, which is from Chris's finds, and the Poison, which is also Chris's finds. Everything else is kind of ambiguous. It's really hard to say where it came from, or if it's an original cut or it's the same cut or whatever. There's no way to know unless you pop the seed. So the stuff that came after that, I remember Wick would be the Soul Assassin cut, the Hell's Angel cut, the what else? I mean, there were so many. That was kind of like after my time. I was kind of like uninterested at that point. I was like, okay, here's all the stuff that came from nowhere.
So we got to figure it out because, all right. So we know that in Adam's words, and Adam's out of town. He's on his way to Chicago right now. So we don't have him saying this part. But if he were here, it's my responsibility to inform you that that's what he would say. Adam would say that, so the Soul Assassin cut, we think, possibly, because we know he knows Kenji.
Well, there were like 3 different Soul Assassin cuts. There was one that came from Chris. There was one that came from Wick. There was like a whole bunch of them. Like, there's actually a list that's compiled online by Wick himself of all the cuts that he had a hand in bringing in. And, like, the Hell's Angel came from some people he knew in Orange County or something like that. The Larry that he brought was the same thing, and the Legend cut, right, that everybody talks about, that came from the owner of Green Angel at Malibu, or Calm at Malibu, but he spells out pretty much all of those online. It's I wish I remembered it better, but
we can dig up that post. But more importantly, it sounds like we need to get a hold of Wick. I can hit him up on
he was
Facebook.
the one that really proliferated. He was just selling flats for cheap back when the price was still high. I mean, you can definitely, attribute probably a large percentage of Southern California in terms of if you got something in the recent past that came through Wick and Ape and all those guys that were really pushing out cuts back in 06, 07, and Swerve as well, 06, 07 to like 2009 or so.
And then I guess figuring out how to connect that with the dudes supplying the cuts, because that's the end we've chased via Adam's connections for so long.
Yeah, and that was some of Chris's friends too that they were just selling literally all those cuts.
Right, that's how we got Fire knocked off the list.
So those were all over LA within just a few years, and then that's, in my opinion, that's where a lot of the, whatever new brand name OG that's super bomb came from is probably one of those cuts renamed or reused or whatever.
And so really what it kind of makes sense is that it's probably whatever crew it was, because it was distinguished, like you said, Murphy. Like each crew is like a brand name almost, and they have to protect their brand. So just call it OG. Everyone's just going to call it OG. So the crew's going to give it their own name, And they have their method dialed in. It's going to come out consistent, but it's just the same. But again, it goes back to the mystery of people who have a few different OGs, and we all have friends. And I know that there are possibly people listening now, if they remembered, who wanted to know about the Coal Creek Kush. And Adam has some insight into that because he was somehow credited for that in the cup. And I know someone had thought that that was the same thing that was in the MK, but the MK was actually many years earlier from what I understand. And that we know was from the OG that he got from Josh, which is this same OG, the only OG. That's how we got Josh on the show. So what's up with multiple OG cuts out there? Tell me, people have said, oh, these ones are so different. How different is an S1, I guess? How different would an S1 be?
Well, the S1s that we have, they were bag seats, so it's hard to say exactly what it is.
Right, it might be an F1, not an S1.
And those are the only ones that I know for sure. All the other cuts, who knows where they came from? They could be that same cut, 9 different ways to Sunday. In terms of environmental conditions changing,
but I'm talking about even
their
when
outward appearance for some people, or infection, or whatever it is.
People are growing the same cut. In the same room, people are growing 4 cuts side by side, all over the place, man. People collect OGs like baseball cards. So tell me about it. What's up?
And
with
that's why.
Well,
that's
the
why
triple
I'm saying
X
is
OG.
at a certain point. I mean, I got my first OG cuts from Oregon Kid. Through our mutual friends here in Seattle, and then I had the Ghost cut, and then I had Chris's Poison.
Okay,
right?
So did
and
the
then
Ghost
I cracked
cut?
the face off.
Now we know for
myself.
sure the Ghost cut was the same as Oregon Kid's cut. Now, did they seem the same when you were growing them side by side?
Yeah, from outward appearances, yeah. The thing was though is that it's such a phenotypically variable plant due to environment, pot size. Health of the cutting, what kind of infection you potentially have, that, the only one that I could for sure say was different was the Poison, and for years, that was why by the time Wick had all those million cuts and everybody was bringing in their new stuff, I was like, from what I remember, I was one of the first people to say this is, the best OG is going to be the one that grows the best in your room, period. Because I've seen the characteristics of it change so considerably just from.
So you're saying, just to get it clear, so you're saying the genetics of this strain literally mutate towards their environment, which is something I'm coming to believe more and more and more and more about cannabis.
Yeah.
Right. It does,
and
there's
that these mutations have some sort of
like
semi-permanent effect. So that even when they all go into an identical environment later, there's a difference, is what you're saying.
Well, there is a difference, but it literally, the one that seemed the dankest last round may not even be that impressive next round, and one of the less impressive ones will be super good.
Because it's getting better to that environment. You just got to tune to the environment.
It's hard to get any of them to be like 100% consistent, especially if you've done like I've done and run all these cuts side by side in the same room several times on end, in succession.
So that said, running them side by side like that, how much difference? You've won cups. You're an excellent grower.
Sometimes it seems like very little between a couple cuts, and other times it seems like a big difference. I mean, just vegging the plant out longer can make a huge difference on the outward appearance of OG.
So differences in grow techniques, I think, is what we kind of
are
getting it down to. So it's almost like a different style of technique of growing this plant. You could
it always has
that
same OG smell. It's just there's variable differences of, it tastes more lemony, or it's more earthy this time, or it's more. And I've literally done that. I mean, back in the day, for me, the triangle comes out more earthy than anything else, right? But other people swear it's the complete opposite, right?
It's weird.
So,
yeah, it's definitely. And that, so let's tap the triangle into this, because that was something early in the genetics. Do you strongly believe that the triangle is related to OG?
Well, yeah, it's definitely the same genetics, for sure, without question.
So do you think it's probably just another bag seed out of that same batch in Florida? That's the
I
only
have
thing
no
that makes
idea.
sense.
I mean,
Yeah.
supposedly they've had that cut forever in Florida, right?
Forever? How long though?
What
Because our
I can
story
tell
goes
you
back
is
to like
that in
1984 in Florida.
2006-ish, or 2006, 2007, somewhere right around there, I was sent the cut from Florida from Cornbread Ricky,
And I wonder if we can get him to connect the last few dots here.
So, that much I can tell you is that it didn't come from anywhere. It was postmarked,
No, I feel you on that, but where did he get it from?
Well, that's for you to ask him.
That's for me to ask. I guess, how could mysteries be revealed this soon? But it would be interesting if we could cross the triangle off the list as the same cut too, right? That would be out of control. I doubt it.
Right, I agree. And that's why, back then when I had all these cuts, 08, 09, 2010, really running them out side by side, it was such a hard thing to be able to get rid of one, because last round it was kind of okay. This round it was the best one. Next round it's this one's the better. And when you got like 6 or 5, 6, 7 cuts or whatever, we did the same thing with the Bubba back on Canvas World. We had a huge Bubba Kush thread, and we had the same thing with Purple Urkel and Purple Indica. We were trying to figure that out.
So what were the conclusions there? Because we can just cross those off our list too. That's good, right?
What's that? The Bubba?
The Bubba, yeah.
So up until that time, about 08, there was the green pheno Bubba that came from Oregon Kid and the purple pheno. Supposedly the purple pheno was some...
So that green pheno from Oregon
like
Kid,
that.
wait. We can connect this even further. This is good, because the green pheno, Oregon Kid, was friends with Josh.
Right.
Clearly. And Josh was friends with Matt Bubba, and that means that was his Bubba. So that green Bubba Kush, okay. And then, all right, so now tell me about...
So where's my purple pre-98 variety coming from?
So where's the purple from?
Okay, so then there was the purple cut that I got from Oregon Kid through our mutual friends up here in Seattle, and it was like much more club-headed. It yielded fatter. It wasn't as leafy.
So we got to talk to Oregon Kid about this. It sounds like, yeah.
Right, but it wasn't as dank, and those were the two that I had from him. Then there was the Katsu cut, which, for all intents and purposes, seemed the same to the green pheno to me, but it was, it's the same thing with the OGs. It's like, well, this round it comes out chunky and smelling this way, and next round it's all blown out with a huge stem. It's, it's so grow variable that it's hard to say, well, was it my grow that was different, or is it the clones that's different?
Yeah,
right.
It's just a very sensitive
because
plant.
they smell and from the outward appearance, they pretty much have the same characteristics.
But sometimes, as you said before, different notes come out.
So that's the Katsu cut, and then there's the 398, which came from my friend Shawbud online, and he got that cut out of Orange County in fall of 97 or winter of 98 or something like that, from some glassblower friends of his in Orange County. That's the story that goes with that one. And that's where pre-98 Bubba came from, was from that thread on Cannabis World. I actually had called it pre-2001 because Oregon Kid had told me that he got his cut in 2001. So, or something like that. But everybody kept on getting it confused with the story that went behind it and the pre-98 Cali Mist at the time, that the moniker pre-98 stuck.
So, all right, here's the question that I need to figure out then. Are all the Bubbas the same?
That's the same question,
Well, what'd you conclude? How far did you get?
To me, the green and the Katsu seem the most similar. The purple pheno from Bubba was for sure different. And then there was the pre-98 that, for me, sometimes would perform like the Katsu and the green pheno, but at other times it came out with what's part of the bomb threat smell, the number 7 smell. And that's that line, dank, Bubba funk that's just undeniably awesome to smoke on.
So,
And that's what Inspecta pulled out of the Bubba S1s, was that phenotype, which is the number 7.
okay. So we got like 5 minutes left. We're gonna wrap up this great OG mystery.
Yeah,
5 minutes left.
I
We're
don't
on the
have that
phone
much
with
to
you here,
add.
bud. No. That's great. Tell us more about what you're doing now with the seed company, where people can check out your genetics. What your connections are in your own work.
Well, we're still working the face-off line. We just made a face-off amnesia haze line as well, memory loss line.
So
those are coming out really good. We cross those with cookies, and it's just all kinds of weird stuff in there.
Let's talk about the difference of face-off. I got a buddy who's finishing a face-off, or most of the way through a face-off outside out here in Colorado right now. It definitely seems to yield more than the other thing, or what? Maybe it's just a great season for OG, but seems to be yielding more, and it is our first run of it. And it's at least right now, early in bloom, sweeter. It's
sweeter, is that what you said?
Yeah, and it's getting. I mean, now or I should say, it was sweeter a couple weeks ago, and now it's definitely, smelling like OG. But so, how would you describe the difference of Face Off?
That's pretty much what it is. I mean, it's a much sweeter, danker kind of. I don't know really how to describe it. It's really hard to describe. It's kind of like the Alpha Walker. Once you taste it and you smoke it, you'll remember it.
So that one is consistently different. And how's the poison different?
And the poison is more along the lines of your regular OGs, but it's consistently got this more Sprite kind of poison raid kind of flavor to it that I personally enjoy.
So what, is it just like a sharpness to it?
Yeah, it's sharp, and it just, those strains when you take a puff off a joint and your mouth immediately swells up with water?
Yeah. Or it's just like astringent, yeah.
Exactly, and it makes your tongue salivate, and, it really does that. Now it's kind of, the poison name, that's where it came from.
That makes sense. I feel like a snake poison.
It just coats your mouth.
Nice. Well, right on, dude. So what's going on with Archive right now? Where can people grab the seeds? Where can people get in touch with you, find out more?
ArchiveSeedBank.com. Our seeds are available online at seedsman.com and a bunch of other places as well. You can go to TLC Collective in LA, and that's pretty much it.
Right on, dude. Well, thanks again for coming on. Thanks for lining out the Face Off and the poison for us.
No problem.
Yeah. So Ryan looks super bored.
No, I'm just tired. I know it's no comparison with you and the kid, but the puppy was up all night last night. I know. That's why I haven't said anything about it. I'm not going to complain, but I am a little tired. Yeah.
Look tired.
Plus, we got the Dixie Grand opening this week, so I've just been super busy.
So yeah.
Stressed.
Well, you can take the stress of wondering about OG off your mind.
I gotta pee kind of bad too.
I got rid of that stress quite a while ago.
Nice.
At least where it came from.
Right on, brother. Well, thank you again for being on, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Later.
So pretty much what we've developed here is I can just get some weed and name it OG Kush.
No.
And it doesn't really matter because nobody really follows the genetics anyway.
Rather distinctly the opposite, I think.
Well,
yes.
So, I mean...
Yes, distinctly.
I don't know if there's, a way to say what part is the end part of the Search of OG series.
Yeah, when does it stop?
But I have to make a suggestion. At some point next, we gotta talk to an expert because I want to talk about.
What is it,
I want to
with
talk
a
about
PhD in Kush?
Yeah. So that's exactly
Dr.
what I had to
Kush.
look up because we go through every single episode, and I don't know how much time we have for me to rant about this.
You have. I'll give you a full 6 minutes.
6 minutes. I don't know if I even need that much. I'm not a scientist. Disclaimer. Not a scientist. But we keep talking to people who say, this originated here, he got it here, and we talk about people sharing their cuts And so that, I think, explains a lot of people having their own very specific ideas about what the plant needs to grow well, because people trained it in that environment and said, do this for it to produce. So people did that and it produced, and, it ain't broke. Don't fix it. But, I pulled up an article about plant phenotype plasticity.
Nice.
In response to environmental factors.
Nice.
And
Nice.
so this is the quote that makes me say, I want to talk to a scientist. It says, pretty much expressly, let me pull up this very scientific section, that the environment that a plant is grown in literally can change the phenotypes represented by a single genotype, meaning that literally all these phenotypes are definitely all the same thing, and that you could put the same one absolutely next to each other no matter what, and the environment over time can cause them to adapt.
That's the piece. Over how long becomes
Right.
the question.
So I can take one
So at some
genotype
point-
and pop it into 4 different rooms, the same genotype, and over time I'll have 4 different phenotypes just from the room environment adapting.
And I
for
believe
the same
that.
phenotype.
No,
Be-
if you put them in 4 different
Different
conditions
rooms. Yeah,
of
yeah,
the
yeah.
same
Yeah, yeah.
genotype,
Yeah.
it would make 4 separate phenotypes
Sure.
due to their environmental
Well, and
adaptation.
you think about how everyone's herb. This is like a basic. I don't know. It seems like ignorant to say, but like every grower, their herb just all has the same smell. Or really, all the herb grown in the same room just has the same. There's something in
you
common.
don't
It'll
get
have the
up
same
into it,
structure
yeah, if you don't-
sometimes.
No, no, sorry. I
or,
don't mean they
you
all
know,
have
a
the
lot
same
of-
cell. I don't mean to say that they don't have their own distinct aromas.
But they have similar qualities. Often.
There's just that one note that's like, man, everything that guy
Smells
does
like that.
has that like tinge. People who seem to
you.
have their signature, right?
Yeah.
And it's like that's the environment. That's the environment expressed perfectly. That's master craftsmanship type thing.
So you're saying if I had or any grower for that matter had their specific variety because they've been growing in the same room and they have that hint of thing that you're mentioning that all their weed tastes like, if they moved rooms, are you saying that that's going to change?
I think it'll change.
So they'll
slightly.
have a different thing that all of their bud tastes like, essentially just because of the room they're in.
But I
Right.
think like how that involves with their nutrients, how that involves with the type of lights they use, the style of room they run, the brand of things they,
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
and
even just-
smart pots versus regular parts. What brand of smart pots are you
Sure.
using? Like all that stuff comes into play. It's all environment, and it's that total package. Just how that person's signature growing style, which is essentially the brand name thing we're talking about
Right.
for herb,
Right.
is
Which
the environment.
Which is huge, but the plant plasticity issue with phenotypes addresses the idea that every grower is trying to control their environment. They're trying to replicate another ecosystem indoors for a plant that they grow over and over and over. And as a natural living organism, plants are not designed to be grown under the same conditions forever and ever and ever. There's genetic mutations that come out of nowhere for no reason.
That's true. So I think that's a really good argument to pick up new lights.
Sure.
Yeah.
Each
Switch
year the
out your
conditions
style.
aren't always the same
Right.
every year. I mean, that's why.
The same two people could just have babies and have babies and have babies, and none of those babies would have to be the same, even if, so these same plants, when we're talking about clone after clone after clone, there could
Yeah, but
easily
clones
be
aren't
a
like every time you have
mutation.
babies, you're throwing the dice, right? Genetics
sure.
are switching. Clones, unless you have a virus or you have a mutate, like some mutagen, you use some
systemic
weird
issue,
chemical.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
The genetics should stay the same, but it's going to
They
express
weaken over
differently.
time, though, right? I
So-
mean, the more cuts you take off of each,
That's
if you take
weird.
a cut of a cut of a cut
That's-
of a cut,
Theoretically, and
It should be
Well,
flesh
so
less.
is-
I think that's where weaken maybe isn't the word. It's just that strain adapts to its room. It found an easier way to grow in the way that it wants to grow.
Right,
and
right,
so
right.
maybe that didn't turn out
as good
more
as the
THC
one
for you.
before, Yeah.
But maybe that plant expends less
and
physical
moreover,
energy,
it's-
in the
it's cannabis, dude. It's adapting to growing indoors. It's
Yeah.
Right.
adapting to grow, and perhaps even the type of light. So maybe that's why you get some funkier smells out of, ceramic
Different
metal
lighting.
halides or
Right.
LEDs. Maybe after tons of people are growing the same cuts under the same lights for long enough, those will all start to get boring, and we'll need to grow under some kind of other crazy space lighting.
Space.
laser light.
Just keep waiting, LED guys.
No, dude, we have the LED proof. I'm gonna get them to send us a unit, and I'm gonna get it.
Get Black Dog out here.
Yeah, and I'm gonna get it proven.
I would like.
I've seen it.
I would
I'm
like
convinced.
We can have
I
Black
will
Dog
talk
hook
about it.
up we'll get them the sponsorship on the Black Dog camera, and anybody can just tune in to Adam Dunn Show and check out the grow
There
that
you
we're
go.
growing with the
We'll
Black
set
Dog.
it up. Yes.
And then boom, we can bring whatever they want in. Just they can set up however they want to do
Yeah,
it.
and it'll be
Prove to
sponsored
us
by
that they
the
can kill
Black
it.
Dog Adam
Yeah.
Dunn Show Grow. Yeah.
And everyone else can get us all these OGs. We'll put those under those.
There you
lights.
go. There you go.
Boom.
Circle the research.
Done.
And I mean there you go.
There
Black
you have
Dog,
it. That's
if you're
the real
listening, let's talk
OG
about
under the LEDs. That's what I want.
it. They're all the real OG.
There's too many abbreviations. The real OG under the LED.
Well,
You know what I
then-
mean? It sounds like a rap song.
It does. It's good. But that triple X OG, it's interesting. That one is the triple X skunk crossed in.
And another one I was thinking of that we didn't even mention. What about like the Skywalker OG? that coming from?
Skywalker, highly
Right.
requested. All right, we got 4 minutes left. If there's anyone who's listening who knows the Skywalker, call in. Otherwise, we'll proceed with wrap up. So, Ryan, again, tell us about the e-store. Where can people go on the
Yeah, you
e-store?
can go get cool Hoodlam gear at shop.hoodlabstore.com. You use the coupon code TADS, all caps 420, as you're checking out in your cart, and it'll hook you up 10% off with all your goodie Hoodlam store. And it's winter's coming up, so get those jackets in, and we have some t-shirt sales. And then at the end of September, we'll have more 80.
And I don't know if it's too early to leak this news, so I hope Cece doesn't yell at me.
She won't yell at you, I'm sure.
But we officially, that is going to be where you get your Adam Dunn Show gear.
Officially.
So if you want Adam Dunn Show eventually, hats, pins, shirts, maybe hoodies. I want to talk about hoodies. We got new designs, new logos we're popping out. If the horizontal flag isn't for you,
We have plenty more coming.
we got some other
We
stuff
got some
cooking.
stuff coming. So yeah, keep
So-
an eye out. Shop.hoodlabstore.com.
And yeah, let's also talk again, Guayaki Yerba Mate. We are
Oh my
talking a lot
God.
today.
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta pee
So,
real bad.
I just
Yeah,
want to say,
that's
let me
happening.
start
It's okay.
with. Let me start with. How'd you had a Yerba Mate before I turned you on to him,
No,
Murphy?
I never tried one before today.
I never
Dang.
would
Not
have
bad.
either.
So
I never
first
would
of all, I
have.
want to say Guayaki, thank you for putting your faith in me. Clearly, empowering me to evangelize.
And I don't remember the last time I bought a Red Bull or a Monster or something like that. Now, I
You're
mean, this is
done.
my second one a
Done.
day, but yeah, and they're cheaper. You get a
Oh
big
yeah,
can
guys,
for
that
$2.
case is gone. So we might have to. I know we have that. We'll be in touch. So also, we're hooking up with a lot of other cool brands, and I'm really excited. We just got a major hookup from Nectar for the Gods.
Massive pallet. We couldn't even fit it all in one trip.
It was like trucks and cars and like tons of soil and nutrients. So we're gonna have some Nectar for the Gods giveaways. First of all, for everyone, it's cooking. Now I'm gonna tell you this right now. If you want the giveaway, I'm not gonna tell you what it is. So subscribe to us, whether on YouTube, Facebook, probably all of them. YouTube, Facebook, podcast. They're coming back. I promise. We're getting that figured out
How
on
many
our end. My
subscribers do we
computer
have
did.
right now?
Dude, we broke
Like
420 YouTube subscribers.
420 YouTube.
Yeah, we broke 420. We're
yeah.
at like 430
it.
before today's show.
We
So
start-
whoever subscriber number 420 is, shouts to you.
Good
Big
call.
time.
And
Yeah.
I mean, let's
Well,
push
so should we
for
count it down?
500. Yeah,
Who's
we
going to be
shouldn't-
710 then?
I mean, we need a 710.
Let's start setting some goals here.
I wonder if we can go. I wonder if it's a chronological list and we can see who.
I'm gonna
number
wait
420
and then make
was.
a YouTube account and then be the 710 follower. just
Seventh,
cause.
10,
7th,
7th, 10th,
710th.
710th.
This
yeah.
is your captain speaking.
Right on, guys. Well, hey, you know what? Adam's not here, so I'm going to give everyone a chance to say their shout outs. You have 30 seconds, Ryan.
Will you start? You're the host, man.
I go last.
You go last? All right,
Yeah.
well, I mean,
You
shout
got
out
him.
to the girlfriend, Brittany. She's working down at Green Tree. Puppy Kilo, holding down the home front. She pooped on the carpet, I'm pretty sure, for lunch, but that's okay. And everybody over at Dixie Elixirs, mom and dad, all those, cool people, friends.
Are your mom and dad at Dixie Elixirs?
No, they were just, you said I had
Oh,
30
there was a
seconds,
period.
man.
There was a
There wasn't
semicolon.
even a period. This was one run
All
on
right,
thought.
you're over your time, Murphy.
Oh my goodness, now the pressure's on for me. I don't want to talk too fast. I'm also going to shout out my dog. My dog is the jam, so way to go. He's waiting at home for me very anxiously.
15 seconds.
And I'm going to shout out everyone else. Thanks for welcoming me onto the show. I'm happy to be here. And thanks to Ryan and Mitch and everyone at iCanvas Radio
And
for
Adam,
having me.
and Adam.
And Adam, thank you for your seat.
I got to shout out Cece and Adam's family, little baby Nick, hopefully Ace, Kojak, all the crew down on the farm grinding away. I don't remember Adam's whole spiel, guys. I'm sorry. My lovely wife Reese, little baby Farron. Hopefully life is chill at home. I showed them this fox. Have you guys seen this video? What does the fox say? Google what does the fox say if you haven't seen what does the fox say.
Don't.
Farron's only toy is this little fox. Not only toy. I don't mean to say that she lives in a cave, but like her main stuffy, as we like to call it, is a little fox.
A stuffy?
And so I just showed her what does the fox say.
What is a stuffy? Like a stuffed animal?
Stuffed animal, yeah. All right, guys. Don't forget, subscribe. Let us know if you want those tickets to Stick Figure, right?
Yeah, Stick Figure Dog, October 11th. Denver.
What's the cutoff?
I don't know yet. We'll see. Just keep putting in cool stuff.
The
I'm gonna
most
pick some
compelling public post
give me,
to our attention.
Give me a reason
will
to give you
give
the
us
tickets, man.
Yeah.
You and a friend, you and a loved one, you and a girlfriend, you and your puppy, because he has
You
a
and
dog.
a business colleague.
You can bring your
You
dog
and
to
a-
the show. Probably I can arrange that.
I don't know. Really?
Oh yeah, he brings his dog everywhere. He has like a service dog,
Dog.
and it goes
So it
everywhere
has to
with
be
him.
a service dog.
It would probably have to be a service dog, but if you have it, he would love to
But
see
if it's
that show
just
up at the
like your
show.
roll dog, like dog
probably
with
still
the
be okay
W.
with
All right.
It's anti-discrimination to demand.
Yeah,
proof.
we know we're not racist against dogs here.
There you go. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Later.
That's